Hey guys, it's Alexis, Sophie Leather. All right, so I get a lot of questions regarding what tools I use to make my Firefighter leather. So this video is just gonna be the tools I use, and I figured the best way of doing that is to actually build something, and as I'm building it, I'll go over the tool itself. Keep in mind, this is also good for strap goods. So all the tools I'm gonna recommend are tools that you can use for Firefighter leather and any strap goods, okay? Now, with that in mind, I'm not affiliated. I'm not gonna give you affiliate links. I don't do that. I forgot to mention, if you guys wanna support the channel, there is a Patreon description below, and also a way to just do a little tip through PayPal. Thanks. You hear the birds chirping? I love that. So, yeah, to recap, I'm gonna build a pair of suspenders, and as I'm building it, we're gonna go over the tools and where I get them, okay? And we're not gonna go over stitching, that's a whole nother beast, that's another video. But we're just gonna build a pair of standard suspenders. They're not stitched, just a thick piece of leather, and we're gonna go ahead and do that. So let's get started. All right, so first thing is, I recommend if you're gonna have one table, get a 4x8 size table, or build one like I did. And you're gonna need a 4x8 table, and because when you buy your size, they're pretty big, and you need space to cut it. So, with that being said, get your 4x8 table, and then you're gonna need these cutting mats you get on Amazon. You get these mats on Amazon. I had to buy two of them. One, the biggest one they sell on Amazon, this big one. I think it's 58 inches by 40 inches or something like that. And then a small one, just so I can fill up the table. Because you can see here, you'll see in a second, I'm gonna cut the leather, and you need something long enough so your blade can run over. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you. Let's get the leather. All right, so you can see I have my leather laid out on the table. This is why you need a big table. You need a couple of rulers or scales, a small scale, about 36 inches, a large one. This is 72-inch large scale, a small frame, square, and a large square. That's all I use to cut all my stuff, including the bags and stuff. The other thing you need, some kind of weight, something like that. Big piece of metal, a weight. An Exacto knife. I'll put a link in the description up here. I made a video on these blades. This is all I use, an Exacto knife, dude. A number 11. Is it number 11? Yes, a number 11 Exacto knife. This is the strap cutter. The strap cutter. All right. I forgot where I got this, but a lot of places sell it. Yeah, this is all you need to cut your straps. You need a couple of these clamps, woodworking clamps. You'll see why when I start cutting this up. I have two, got these at Lowe's. I got the squares at Lowe's and the scales at Lowe's as well. So you'll see here in a second why you need that. So I use this small scale to cut the neck off, and having a sharp blade is crucial right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off, and that gets me started. All right, neck is off, I'll move it out of the way. So when you use the strap cutter, the way you use the strap cutter, you give the width right here, you move it, but it needs a straight edge, all right? This thing needs a straight edge. You have to ride that straight edge. So we're creating the straight edge right now, and that's why you need the wood clamps, the scale, and then that weight as well. I'll show you right now. The clamps hold the scale. The piece of that weight holds the middle of the scale, holds it down, because if not, it'll want to bow up in the middle. So you want to hold that down, and then after that, then we're good to go. So let me show you what that looks like. This is why it's important to have a sharp blade. You want to ride this scale pretty good. Right when you get to about right here, this is where I move up this weight. Find the line again. This won't cut all the way through. It'll get like 75%. But once you got that deep groove, you take everything off and then finish the cut. This is the most crucial part, because You want this to be as straight as possible. Okay? All right, so now we're gonna DC everything. We're gonna take it off so I can show you. Now I can put this stuff away. So a lot of it's already cut, but let's go ahead and finish off. You want a pretty deep groove at first because, and this is another reason why I needed these two cutting mats. One wasn't long enough, but look, I already got most of it on that one cut. That's it. I'll show you that straight edge, but this I can still use for other stuff, which I will. All right, so now I got my straight edge and I'm gonna set this up to 1.5 inches wide. Of course, this is a preference. You do it how you wanna do it or whatever the customer wants, but I'm gonna set that up. I move this to about 1.5, and the way you move this right here is that you just unscrew that. It tightens this down and clamps it in place. And yep, you just put your leather through there and ride this fence right here. So let me show you. Wearing sandals and walking backwards, not a good idea. All right, so I cut my pieces. I got my 2 straps. Oh my gosh. Got my 2 straps. And I have this piece that I cut off to make a straight edge. So I can use this for all the attachment pieces or even another strap or something. So, yep, so now the next step is to go over my notes. And we're going to move on to the next step, which is marking all your stuff and punching out the straps themselves. All right, so to actually make the straps and cut them to size, you need a wing divider. A wing divider where you can adjust the dimensions of this, okay? You need a couple of mallets. I like the big one, personally, for punching out stuff. You need some hole punches, and if you had to pick one size, I'd pick the 5/32, okay? And I'm pretty sure you can buy this C.S. Osborne kit, which goes from like 1/8 all the way up to 3/8. You can get this on Amazon, I believe, okay? That's all I use, but I actually use the 5/32 for absolutely almost everything. You're gonna need some end punches. You can use whatever one, the English style or the pointed one. These you can get at Weaver Leather. You can get them also on Amazon. You can also get them on eBay. But these Weaver tools are really, really sturdy. You just need this to punch the round end or the pointed end, whatever you guys want. You also need an Oblong Punch for the slot for the buckle. You guys won't see me using that because I have dies because I make a lot of these. So I actually got this Weaver Mighty Wonder 8-ton clicker press, and I made a whole bunch of dies to make my life a lot easier. But you can still do this all by hand. All right, so let me show you how I actually cut the straps, because I still do that manually. And all the little attachment pieces, I use the clicker. So I'll show you the clicker once I'm done making these marks. So the wing divider, the reason why I use a wing divider to mark my holes is because the strap is 1.5 inches wide. If I want to mark my holes where I'm going to cut it off and where I'm going to actually make the buckle slots and also the holes so we put the buckle in, you want to use a wing divider to find the middle of the strap. So I use this and I put it at 3/4 inch, which is half of 1.5 inches, and I find the middle doing that. And that's always going to be the true middle. This is not a how-to make a radio strap. As far as the measurements and design, that's on you. But I basically mark this at 3/4. And then when I'm trying to find the middle of the strap, I go from the bottom up and from the top down. The reason why you do that is because this might not be exactly 3/4 and the strap might not be exactly 1.5 inches. So if you go bottom up only, you might be offset a little bit. So I go bottom up and then top down, and I find the middle of those 2 dots. Oh yeah, obviously have your large scale here, a large scale to measure, and I come off of that with this tool. All right, let's punch this out. Oh, I forgot, now that I'm here, this is why I'm doing this way, because if not, I forget. But you have to punch. I know they sell poly boards, like Weaver Leather sells a poly board where you could punch stuff. But I found that just a regular cutting board on Amazon. I bought the thickest one. I think this is 24 inches by 24 inches, and it's 1 inch thick. That's what I use. And I use one side, eventually I'll turn it and you can flip it upside down. But yeah, so I punch into that, the holes, and also cutting this off. So let me show you. This is how I make my ends. Okay, here we go. One there. And this one here. All right, I can use this for the buckle ends. There's one strap. I don't punch my holes until I'm done and I'm about to assemble it. Okay, so I'll do that last. All right, so this is a part where I was telling you that I have a clicker and that I'm gonna actually click out a lot of the pieces, but you can still use a strap cutter to cut these smaller pieces out, and the punches, no difference. But this makes my life a lot easier. I'm using the leftover from those straps, what I cut off, to finish all the other intricate pieces and the attachment points and the buckle end and all that. So let me show you. Hey, if you guys are interested in where I got these clickers, these dies, where I got these dies, if you guys are interested, they're Texas custom dies, and they're amazing. I'm actually getting 2 more dies made for those wallets on that giveaway. And also, the clicker is just a Weaver 8-ton clicker. It's absolutely amazing. But these guys who make these dies, they understand that I'm using, they know the clicker, so they make this thing super jam up. Let me show you how precise these things are. They work with you really, really well. They know exactly what you want. So, couldn't say anything. They're amazing. Okay, how about that? Bye. Then your hardware. I antique my hardware. The customer wants antique. I put a video up here in the description. I'll put a video up. I've showed you how to do this. I made a video on I know I'm not even gonna edit. There's a video, dude. I'll put a link up here and you can see it, how to do this. All right, so now we're gonna stamp his name in the strap. What you need is an arbor press. Got this at, I forgot where I got it, but it's a little arbor press. You'll see how I use it in a second. And then you need these little stamps you can buy at Weaver Leather or on Amazon. They even sell these little stamps. Then the paint I use, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, I don't like painting. I don't do these crazy, beautiful paint jobs like you see a lot of guys do. I'm not into it. But I do use these Liquidex paint markers, and they have a whole bunch of different colors, and that's all I use, bro. I'm not a big paint fan. I don't like doing it. That's why I don't do anything crazy. But I'll show you the process and how I stamp using this arbor press, all right? This part gets a little sketch because you don't want to misspell it, dude. So I always triple check. That's why you see me looking at the board over here, and I'm always checking. because you can't unstamp this, dude. Stop yelling at me, dude. I'm tired of your crap. And just gotta go paint it now.
But I don't have the strength. I wish I could, but I can't. I don't have the strength. I wish I could, but I don't have the strength.
All right, y'all, so now it's time to burnish, to bevel and burnish the edges. So the beveler is this Weaver leather edge beveler, and this is a number 1. This is good for like 9 ounces to 6 ounces. You can use the number 2 edge beveler. That's for anything thicker, about 12 ounces plus. I use the number 1 for anything 10 ounces and under. You need 150 grit sandpaper, 800 grit sandpaper, a wool dauber, some water, and glycerin soap. A bar of Phoebing's glycerin soap. I don't have it with me, I threw away the box. But it comes in a big bar like this. And I just cut them up in pieces. You'll see why I use this in a second. And magic erasers, the ghetto version, not the real legit, you know, Mr. Clean, whatever. Just a cheap magic eraser. I cut them up in little pieces like this. Some beeswax. Some denim. Just a piece of old jeans, cut them up in squares. And I also use something different that I'm doing now is acrylic resin. Acrylic resin. Let me see if I'm in the video, if it's getting, it is. You can get all this stuff. You can get all that on Amazon. Not these though, you can't get this on Amazon. So this jar is basically just acrylic resin. I put it in a jar. I'm such a doofus. I forgot one more thing. So dumb. You need these burnishers, wooden burnishers, just a hand one like this. You can get them on Amazon all day long. All right. This is a Kokoburo one, a little more expensive. This is just a regular hardwood. Both do the same job, I think, in my opinion. You're gonna do one of two things. You're either gonna use the beeswax and this for the edges to finish it, or the acrylic resin to finish the edges. One of the two, not both. Okay, so I'm just started doing this using acrylic resin. It puts like basically a piece of acrylic, you know, over the edges, so it protects it better than I think the beeswax, in my opinion, especially for what we do. And it puts a little shine on it too, so I'm testing that out, but I'm liking it so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and bevel one piece. I'll do this little piece to show you what that looks like. Yeah, this 150 sandpaper is just to get the edges. If you find a rough spot there or anything. The 800 I'll show you here in a second. So I'm gonna take my 1 and we're just gonna go ahead and do this one piece here.
Daddy?
Yeah?
I was running my hand across the piano and then you gave me a splinter and a deep cut.
Is the splinter still in there?
Yes.
Wait, it's not in there.
Yes it is, it's a piece of wood.
No, it's not. It's not in there.
What is that?
It's just a cut.
No, but there's a little piece of wood.
No, it's not a piece of wood.
What is that?
Go get my tweezers upstairs. You're fine. You're not gonna die.
It's not, it doesn't hurt, it's just annoying. I have to go through the whole problem.
I'm gonna leave that in there. Take the water, hit it across. I do like a foot at a time. Take that glycerin soap, rub it a couple times like that. Take your burnisher and find the right groove. This is not a tutorial. A lot of guys do this different. But that glycerin soap is gonna really help. And you can feel it. It starts to get really smooth here. And that is like super smooth. And hit up the other side. So one of the benefits of using that sharp blade is that when I trim this, it cut off real clean. So there's not a lot of frays. If there were, that's where you use the 800 grit and you hit it again, wet it again, burnish it again. And this is a stage now where you would put some of the beeswax, where'd it go? Some of the beeswax on the edge and then burnish it with this really fast. But I'm gonna use the acrylic resin. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply that now. This magic eraser is awesome because it doesn't drip. It soaks up. So this is acrylic resin. And I'll just soak it in there like that, and I'm just gonna hit the edges like this, look. Super easy. And this is gonna protect the edges. I found that for what we do, this is perfect. And I'll show you another little trick. It's probably overkill, but once this dries, I hit it with the 800 grit or 1000 grit sandpaper. Once this acrylic resin dries, I hit it with that sandpaper, and then I hit it with that sandpaper once it dries, and then I use the acrylic resin again. What that does is the acrylic resin will fill in the gaps a little bit here. I'll sand it to make it even smoother, and then I'll hit it over the acrylic resin again. And yeah, so that's it for burnishing and putting a sealer. Like I said, if you're not going to do this acrylic resin, you'll wet it, glycerin soap, burnish to your liking, then rub it with beeswax, and then rub the beeswax with a piece of denim. And what that's going to do is burn the fibers even more and melt the beeswax into the edges. So I used to do that all the time. I still do it, but I think for these little jobs, the acrylic resin is going to be a little better. So there you go. I think they hold up a lot longer. It's basically putting a piece of plastic film over the edges there. You can see where it's shining a little bit. There it is. Oh, you really can't see it. Anyway. Yep, so now let's move on to the next thing. All right, I'm gonna cheat a little bit and use my burnisher, my tabletop burnisher. This is straight up cheating. I'll finish these up and then we'll get to punching holes and assembling. So the edges are dried. I have the resin on the edges, whatever you decide to do, beeswax or acrylic resin. And now I'm gonna just punch these holes. I don't know if you could see. Will it show you the holes? Yeah, see, I marked those holes when I was marking it on the large scale. And that's where I'm gonna punch. I'm gonna use my 5/32 hole, punch these holes out, and then we have to assemble. I'll see you guys in the assembly line. All right, now we're gonna assemble this. We're going to use rivets. I use these rivet setters, number one. They're called the Douglas rivet setters. You can get any kind of rivet setters you want, but I use these. These are Douglas rivet setters. I get them from Rocky Mountain Supply. Make sure you get the right size. I use a number 9 brass rivets. They're the number 9 brass rivets with the burr. Yes. I like the number 9s. They're thick, they're big. You need that. You need some nippers. These are 14-inch nippers. You need these, especially for the brass rivets. You can get copper rivets, but I like the brass rivets. You need these for the leverage. And you need this anvil. You can get a Weaver leather. All right, so let's go ahead and assemble this. We're gonna do one so I can show you. This is not a how to rivet thing, but put the stems through there, put the washer on top, use the number 1. Oh, I always do this. I gotta bring my mallet. I use a big mallet and whack there, whack here, cut it off, leave about 1/8. Okay, leave a little nipple on there. Then do the number 2, round it off. You're just deforming that nipple over the washer. Flatten it out with the number 3. Do it again. Back to number 2 to round it off to get rid of the burrs. And that is in there. All right, I'm gonna finish this up and then I'll show you the end result. All right. Alrighty. We're just gonna check the size. Make sure I know what I'm talking about here. And I did it right. I always check the size. Yep, and she is 54. So I'm cleaning this up a little bit. I put some of my sauce on there.
But I don't have the strength. I wish I could, but I can't.
Alright, so there you have it. Those are all the tools that you need to make a pair of suspenders or a Firefighter radio strap or any kind of strap goods. Alright, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.